everyone. Today we got to play Mountains of Madness. So this is a co-op game that's centered around going mad up the mountains. But before we get started talking about this particular game, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because you like games and you want to hear more about them. So, yeah, I know, right? They're totally cool. Yeah. Rob, tell us more about this particular game.
All right, so this is the first edition of Mountains of Madness. Came out in 2017, which Randy was quite happy to get at Gen Con. He's mentioned that a couple times since we played it tonight. Board Game Geek rating is 6.6. This plays 3 to 5 players. Designed by Rob Davio, art by Miguel Coimbra and Rob Davio. Published by iEllo. The MSRP is $41.99, but I didn't see it readily available. And I think because there is a second edition, but I'm not 100% certain, so don't hold me to it. But I did see it on Amazon for $32. A really cheap version on Geek Market for $15.
Okay.
So this is a great deal considering some of the components we'll talk about.
Yeah, so let's talk about the components. So you have these really nice chips that you use for the leadership tokens. You have a really cool miniature plane. Mm-hmm. The timer has actually, it's not like the cheap crappy timers.
It's the best timers I've seen.
Yeah, I know. That comes
really
standard
good
in a game. One of the best ones. The cardboards are pretty thick. They're all right. The cards, there is no linen finish, but I do think they have an okay thickness. What do you guys think?
Yeah, standard. I mean, you really want to sleeve them, especially these equipment cards, because you're going to shuffle them.
You have to do all of them because all of these go into those.
Yeah, that's true. Well, not the
not the relics, but everything else.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you'll want to sleeve them.
Yeah, and then the actual player boards themselves, again, standard cardboard fare, and then
halfway decent die.
Yeah, halfway decent die.
Completely unique.
I mean, overall, guys, I think this is
it's definitely above average.
No, I think it's higher than a 7.5. I think it's at least an 8.
Okay, you're thinking an 8. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking an 8, just because of the timer and the plain mini alone.
I mean, and again, this is a iEllo game. iEllo is definitely not a company. We've argued before about other companies, but iEllo is definitely not one that's like known for like really heavy,
like high end. Yeah.
Well, I think they pulled it out on this one.
The painted plane is pretty darn amazing.
Yeah, so I think I can agree with you guys with the 8. So moving on to actual theme. So madness. So you're going up this mountain. We have no idea why we're going up this mountain.
This game is oozing and thing.
That's what this game is all about.
I think the game you start. I think this real trick is you're already mad because you're taking a plane and trying to fly up a mountain and landing at locations along the mountain with the plane, which implies there's a runway at every one of these stops.
It's not like you continuously fly. No, you fly stop, fly stop,
fly
stop, a lot. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you are mad, and from the very beginning, you're mad.
Yeah, but
so there's. Yeah.
But thematically, you're actually given a madness card, which we'll talk about.
Well, technically, that's just because we were playing 5 players.
Okay.
If you're playing with less players, you don't start with any madness.
But we did, and I just think thematically that's where this game shines.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is it came out with mixed reviews when it first came out because there's so many diehard Cthulhu fans that expect a Cthulhu game to be this heavy, really deep,
more
dark.
Yeah.
And this was a light, almost a party game style where your madness effects are much more like a party game. But yeah, it is a co-op game still, but it's got the elements of a party game in it, which is not something that heavy Cthulhu players are accustomed to.
So theme-wise, though, give it a score.
Honestly,
just because I had so much fun playing this, it's a 10.
Okay, what about you?
I'm probably a 9 on it. I think it's a great theme. I even was expecting it to be some more Cthulhu than it really was, but it still was a blast to play as far as that. So from the fun factor of the theme and the lightness of it makes it different than any other Cthulhu game out there.
I'm actually going to say a 9 on this. I'm not a huge Cthulhu fan typically because it's so dark and so depressing that I can't really. It's just not something I typically.
I don't think you can say this is a Cthulhu themed game at all.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
To do with
when you see Mountains of Madness, that's what you think you're going to end up being. That's not what this was. This was light, happy, and the theme is definitely.
I wouldn't call it happy.
I wouldn't call it happy. I mean, madness is a big
I'm
part of
talking
it, but
about
it's not
the
because
fact
of the
that
elder gods, like trying to suck your soul out or something.
No, I don't mean happy in the sense that it was fun to play.
Yeah,
is what I meant. It was more up I laughed more than I was sitting there being like,
mm-hmm.
I'm miserable, it's over, you know.
Honestly, we haven't laughed this hard at a game in
a long time.
Yeah, so with that being said, I'm with Randy on the 9-bit.
Okay.
So, really good score something. So, moving on to actual rules, Randy read them.
What?
Yeah, the rules were actually they're nicely illustrated. There's a lot of good imagery in it. The biggest thing was the distraction of you and Heather discussing things while across the table, while the people who actually did care about the rules were sitting there.
No, that's part A.
It's so true.
Part B was the how loud they were doing it. It wasn't that they were just talking normal conversation. No, it was like this.
Because we were across the table and you guys were talking.
Yeah.
We were trying to actually learn a game in here. I mean, heaven forbid.
I like whisper to Randy, just read it and tell us.
Well, I mean, we haven't seen them in so long. I missed them.
I know.
It was great seeing them. I don't disagree. But
it was not.
If you wanted to have a private conversation with Heather, you could have asked her, "Let's go into the other room and talk while they learn their game." And then
you guys were going to be expecting
Thank you.
You guys were just expecting us to be here to learn the game.
I'm going to have to teach you guys the game anyway because you don't pay attention.
So true.
So,
all right, Rulebook, give it a score.
The rule book is actually really pretty well laid out. It's, I think there was a couple times we had some confusion about certain things in it, like we had to refer back to it a few times. A lot of it was partially because certain people didn't pay attention, so therefore they doubted me when I was explaining things. Well, you weren't the one that I'm thinking of, but yes. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to give these probably, I'd say an 8.5. They're pretty well done.
Which is cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
So moving on to overall gameplay. So basically, the leader, you've got your leader, you got your pack sled dogs. Why are we on a plane, but then we have a...
I don't understand that at all.
Okay.
That's probably what brought me down for me. Because of the fact that we're in a plane landing at all these locations on a precarious mountain, which happens to have cities built at the top of it, and there's a dog sled involved.
With lots of leaders.
Were we carrying the dog sled in that little mini prop plane? I guess so.
Maybe. Why not?
Yes.
Where else would you put them, Randy?
Maybe we just slept in the plane and like the dogs.
Maybe we just let the dogs climb the mountain and join us.
The dogs pulled the plane.
Yeah, that's what I think. All right.
The dogs pulled the plane. Hopefully they weren't like right in front of the propellers. That would have been bad.
let's actually get to the rules though. Okay, so basically everyone, if you're 5 players, you start with the madness, and we'll get to that here in a minute. But so during the game there is one leader, and that leader rotates. So basically the first player. So the leader then decides where the plane's going to go. They can go anywhere that's directly adjacent to where the current plane is. However, typically you want to go to the ones that have the tiles because the tiles have benefits. If you travel through spaces that don't have any tiles or the tiles have already been removed, there's no additional benefit to them. You just still have to make it through, and madness can still occur. You still get the penalties for losing, but you don't get any benefits for winning. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of rough. And then every time you shuffle through the deck, which we'll go over here in a second, you end up getting, you get a penalty. So you really don't want to waste turns going through empty spaces. So as the leader, you decide where you're going to go. And then you're going to take that tile.
Oh, you can do it.
I can do it. All right. You're going to take the tile, and everyone's going to get ready. Everyone's going to have their cards in their hand. They're ready to go. And you're going to be looking at your madness. So if you have a madness, when the timer flips, you have to act out that madness, okay? So one of the examples where you had to like close your eyes when you were talking.
I had to hunch my shoulders and close my eyes every time I spoke, so I couldn't.
Yeah.
I had to whisper.
Yeah, he had to whisper the first go around, and then I had to. I don't even remember. So that's the different thing. So those are level 1 madnesses. Those are examples of. They get worse. And so then the leader flips over the card, and there are requirements down at the bottom. You only have to succeed at one of the requirements to gain the benefit. But to lose one, you get a penalty for losing just one. So you could end up with both.
Yeah, you can lose up. However many things you have to complete, you can get a penalty for. So you can incur multiple penalties on a tile.
Yeah. So, and then the other bit is, so during that 30 seconds that you have to communicate while your madness is going strong, you have to figure out who has the cards that can actually complete this, okay? So a lot of these cards alter communication, so it makes it that much harder to play through.
But the main deck is numbered 1 through, or 2 maybe, because I know I got 2s. I don't know. If
no, it's 2 through 6, I believe.
Yeah, I think 2 through 6 without the special cards, and they all, and it's 5 suits. So
So
4 suits.
Or 4 suits.
So I mean, there were
the
so there were several times, even with a 5-player game, no one had tools, right? Or no one had crates, which are the loot. So all of that was an issue. So with the 5 players, hopefully you had the right combination.
And then not being able to communicate
either.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing, though. It gets harder up right now. So, like, the lower levels, it was a range, like 8 to 10 tools, right? But, like, in later rounds, it was, like, exactly 9, right? So, you know, we may have had 11, but we couldn't have enough small change to get exactly 9, or we couldn't get the combinations right. And you only have 30 seconds to get all that communication done.
And the cards in play.
And the cards.
And once the first card is played, you can't talk at all anymore.
So you have to like hold it and wait and then be like, all right, everyone place their cards. But you got to do it in enough time. I'm not going to lie, we kind of cheated more than once.
Sometimes by accident.
It was.
Sometimes by
Now you can use these tokens and sacrifice a token into the discard pool and reset the clock. You know, so if you run over, there is ways to remedy it, but every time you cycle through these tokens, you lose one when you burn through the whole stack. You have to rest, and when you do, you lose one permanently from the game.
Yeah, so it can get pretty. It's a pretty rough game. Honestly, playing it, I'm surprised we won. No, we didn't win.
No, we didn't win.
We lost.
We lost.
We almost made
it. We got to the last escape tile. And we weren't able to.
No, what we got, we totally escaped. We beat that escape tile, but the problem was we didn't meet we didn't have enough runes for the amount of wounds. So during the course of the game, you're obviously supposed to go up the mountain, but the other aspect is not only you're supposed to escape by going up the mountain through the escape path, you also have to accumulate as many runes, relics that you have in the amount of wounds that you have, and the wounds are the cards in your deck. There are heal options. There were not enough heals. Like, compared to, like, how many wounds we got, it was pretty rough.
You fail a certain die roll, you get 2 injuries. But if you get a heal, you only get to heal one of those injuries.
Right.
So, a little unbalanced.
Yeah. It was
well, I think, we got really close to winning this, but we didn't. I mean, I'm glad we didn't, because it's the first time play. I would have felt too easy if we had. And we also didn't know that you were going to get, when you got up to the edge of madness, we were going to get 3 of the relics, which is what we were trying to get the whole time, and that's why we burned through all the tiles. So I think we could have won if we had known those things. So I'm glad we didn't know. Made it more challenging.
We're assuming that all the edge of madness is like that.
Yeah, I didn't check, but I mean, at least it makes it more plausible that you could get up the mountain faster, because I think we lost because we burned so much time because we hit every tile. I mean, we
we did. I know we missed one.
Yeah, well, we knew what it was, though. We searched it and knew it was useless to us.
So I mean, overall, though, this game, it was a lot of fun, and it wasn't. I don't think it was more about the gameplay as much as the madness that you had to present.
Right, it was definitely more about the interaction of the players.
Piece. Yeah. Yes,
but I do think it's going to require the right people, because there's certain people that this is not going to be the right game for them.
I agree.
But that's, you could say that just about any kind of party game. So
I know. I was concerned whether Alan was going to get into this, but he had a blast.
Oh yeah, great time.
It was. I knew Heather would enjoy. Once I saw how silly it was going to be, I knew that Heather was going to enjoy this game.
Yeah. So I have to admit, it is a bit of a party game, though. Mm-hmm. Like, that is something to keep in mind. Like, if you have a bunch of people that are like medium gamers that also like party games, I would be bringing this baby out, because I'd be like, this is going to be a blast tonight.
It's got great art, great time playing it, hilarious. We just had a really good time.
So score it, guys.
I mean, theme-wise, I did give it a 10, but overall, looking at, components, some components are really nice. Some components is just, they're not awful. I think I'd give it a 9 overall. Just overall gameplay. I think it's a great game.
My only concern is longevity, because
Yeah.
once you've played through and you've
Probably
got to
a few
know
times
all
you'll have it.
the madness cards, if you play it too frequently, I'm afraid it will get stale.
Right.
They do give you some cards where you can write ones in, which is kind of cool. But even then, there's only a handful of them, and you're going to learn those too.
Mm-hmm.
So just like any other game where the shock of humor is going to hit you, that humor is going to dry up. So I don't know if I'd go a 9. I'm probably more of an 8 on this, but it was still a lot of fun. And I if you don't play it for a while, you're probably not going to recall all those too.
Yeah.
So
you said 9.
Yeah.
You said 8.
You're going to go 8.5, aren't you?
No, actually, I think I'm going to go 7.5. It does feel like a party game to me. I had an absolute blast playing it, but it's still 7. I mean, it was funny, and I am concerned about the longevity of this. That's really where it's at. It's like, okay, next time will it be as funny because everyone knew what one of my madnesses was that cracked us all up at the time. Like, it's not going to have that same... And I feel like that's going to carry through. Now, if you play it with new people all the time, maybe that will help, but that's not typically how we roll.
I don't think we mentioned, but as you progress up the mountain, there's going to be, I don't want to give away this.
It becomes harder.
It becomes more difficult because the mountain will go against you. And that was where things really got funny for us because we didn't see it coming at all. And at the time when I discovered it was happening, I couldn't communicate it because of the limitation I had with my madness. I couldn't communicate. So I couldn't explain it. I was trying my best to show people. So that was hilarious.
And we were like, he crazy.
Which was the point.
It's the game.
Yes.
So, I mean, overall, this is actually a fantastic game. So, I think it gives I don't want to say positive spin to madness, but at least it makes some of the madness game fun. Because a lot of the madness games I feel are a little too dark.
Depressing.
It's a little depressing, and it's not. That's why I typically don't play like Cthulhu RPGs because of that depressing feature. So I don't think that was the issue here.
Although I think it'd be really fun to play this at a convention where people see you acting like that and have no idea why you're doing it. That would be awesome.
You get some great
looks.
My
gosh. So you get to play this at Gen Con, not me. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We had an absolute blast, and hopefully you guys will too. Catch you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.